Very good afternoon. The real story here is that the company has not only won your court case, the significance is that a major regulatory uncertainty surrounding the Record Ridge project has now been removed. This is big news for everybody who's a shareholder of Y Resources. Tell us more.
Well, good afternoon, Tracy. Always a pleasure to speak with you. Yes, it was a great decision that has come down with respect to the judicial review being dismissed. That judicial review, just a reminder, everyone, was the non-government organization, as the petitioner had petitioned the government through the judicial review to reassess the Environmental Assessments Office decision about an environmental review. The project's already gone through a very rigorous environmental review already through the Mines Act. So it was obviously deemed unnecessary. As well, as part of the dismissal of this judicial review, the injunction is now lifted. And we are proceeding forward with the necessary conditional permits from Forestry, Ministry of Transportation, Ministry of Environment for Air and Water, which we have drafts of all of those permits already. So we expect to finish those up in short order and move forward with some construction potentially this summer.
Would you say this effectively de-risks the Record Ridge project?
Well, I mean, it substantially de-risks the project. We have got, as you're well aware, and our investors are aware, an identified resource in place, ready to go. We now have that Mines Act permit from October of 2025, and this judicial review is now behind us, and we can move forward with confidence that this project is going to move ahead. So I would say it substantially de-risks the project. Yes.
And for those of you who may be just learning more about this magnesium project, what did the court effectively decide?
Well, again, they've decided that that the decision that was made by the Environmental Assessment Office was both fair and reasonable, based on policies, based on regulations, and based on the law. The petitioner itself had even identified in court that the company has done no wrong. That was their own testimony. We have followed and either met or adhered to all of the regulatory requirements. And, unfortunately, this has delayed the project, this judicial review. But again, it's found out that the company as a whole has been environmentally responsible and done what is necessary to comply and move the project forward based on a mine of this size, or again, as I've often said, this is a quarry, really, because we're just blasting, drilling, blasting, crushing, and shipping. There's no processing on site or no tailings pond. So it's a very simple project, but because we have so much richness in the ore with 4 critical minerals and we can extract 94%, it's a very economically strong and sustainable, viable project in that manner.
And of course, this is one of America's larger undeveloped magnesium projects. Would you say that is accurate?
Yes, I'm not aware of any project of this size and magnitude and that's onshore North America at this time, at this stage of development. So we're excited about that. And I mean, our ultimate goal, besides getting up and mining, when we have that offtake agreement in place for some cash flow at the initial phases, is to build that value-added processing onshore facility for magnesium, silica, and then we'll have nickel and iron pigment as credits. So it's a tremendously strong and robust project economically, as well as it's addressing a demand that we have for critical minerals here in North America and Canada and the United States.
So according to your 43101, you have 43 million tons with 24.61% magnesium. Is it really that high?
It's very high and it's in the ore. We have 10.6 million tons of magnesium contained. And in addition to that, we have 18 or so million tons of silica in place. So silica, as you know, is involved in everything from a technology standpoint, computer chips, AI, computer glass, and so forth. So we're really excited to have not only the magnesium component ready to go because 95% of it comes from China, and there's a strong desire, as everyone's aware, from both a manufacturing standpoint as well as safe, secure supply chain to get this onshore North America, and our project can deliver that.
So Will this affect your offtake agreement you announced in March?
It will, to the point that now our offtake partner will be forwarding a $5 million prepayment relative to our project. So we expect to see that in the not too distant future once those other small permits are awarded. And we expect, again, I said that in short order because we have drafts that we've received already from each of those agencies. So we're excited.
So you were talking about the four critical minerals you have. But why magnesium? Why now? Because Investor News has been touting magnesium as one of the top rising stars in the critical minerals race here this fall. Can you tell us a little bit more about your criticals and how you feel about that? You brought up silica, which of course is a metalloid that we follow on the CMI watch list.
Yeah, so I mean, magnesium's come to the forefront for many reasons. First and foremost, it's a new nutraceutical, and there was a shortage in the pharma segment for intravenous IV magnesium. So that was an interesting thing that happened over the past year and some. But um, magnesium is now within the battery chemistry world being looked at as a good replacement potentially for lithium because it's non-volatile, has a higher charging capacity. It is less expensive, which helps with the adoption costs for electric vehicles or so forth. And then the metal is magnesium metal is used in so many verticals, but specifically with the deweighting of commercial and consumer vehicles. You can take weight out of the vehicle, less energy, less CO2 emissions. The military in the United States uses it in many ways, shapes, and forms. Any kind of transportation type vehicle that can be deweighted and takes less energy to move, people or manufacturers are looking to incorporate into that manufacturing process. So, as an input product, and to have a safe, secure supply chain with high grade, high purity onshore North America, Y Resources has that.
And of course, one of your biggest competitive elements is where you are on the timeline towards production. Would you like to explain that advantage to Investor News audience members who are new to Y Resources?
Well, fortunately, we have been working on this project for some time. I mean, the company's been public for over 20 years, and we started the permitting process in 2018, and have just been awarded that permit. So it's a very vigorous, arduous process to get a permit in Canada and British Columbia, which we have the highest mining standards in the world from an environmental standpoint. So with the whole critical minerals news and requirements and needs that have come to the forefront in the last few years, many companies are at the forefront of that where they're in either the exploration phase or just starting that permit process. And it will take some time. So we're excited because we're basically in an, for whatever the term, shovel-ready project. We will be into the ground because we do have that mining permit, and we'll have the other four conditional permits in short order. So that's if you're investing in a mining project here, we're ready to go. We'll be into a cash flow position within 12 months and in the ground, mining. So that's exciting for us as compared to a lot of the projects that, yes, are great projects and exciting, but they have some regulatory milestones yet to achieve, and that will take some time.
So this judicial review win was a major milestone for the company, plus an additional competitive element as you're moving down your project timelines, your permitting timelines, is that you are a leader for Indigenous partnerships. Can you give our audience more of an update on that?
Yeah, so I mean, it's important to incorporate in any aspect of a resource development in Canada and British Columbia, Indigenous consultation. And we started that in 2018, and we found an Indigenous partner in the Osoyoos Indian Band, who we have a cooperation agreement with. And not only that, but we also have a a commercial agreement with respect to the construction and mining because the Osoyoos Indian Band has a joint venture with a company called Schemis or Sutherland Group, which is formed Schemis Solutions. So they will be undertaking a lot of the construction and mining work, which gives them economic reconciliation. It gives them training and capacity, developing opportunities for their nation. And most importantly, because they're doing the work, they will have environmental oversight over the project.
So right now, you've got your legal progress, your permitting progress, and your financing progress has all moved along. What should we as shareholders expect next? What's next, Barry?
Well, what's next is to get the mine up and running. That's first and foremost, and we expect to start the construction of that this summer. Um, as soon as the construction is done, we'll start. We have an offtake agreement that'll provide cash flow, so we'll get into the commercial side that'll deliver some return to the company. And in parallel, we've already developed and started the pilot plant process with a process architect out of Toronto, and that process is basically designing the commercial plant that we need to do onshore value-added processing of those four minerals: magnesium, silica, nickel, and iron. So we have a staged approach, a kind of a crawl, walk, run, but I think it's very pragmatic in the way we're going to approach this, and we'll be providing more milestone updates as we proceed. So we look forward to a great future again for West Highfield Resources and the Record Ridge project.
So for those of you going, why have I not heard of Y Resources? Please go to the following website to stay on top of their progress and permitting timeline. Thank you so much for joining us today, Barry.
Always a pleasure, Tracy. Thank you and have a good day.